So I've got a sticker on one of my guitar cases that says, "Don't blame me, I voted for Waylon Jennings." A good friend of mine got me that years ago because he knew what a fan I was of Waylon's music, and he thought it was funny and gave it to me, and I thought it was funny, and so I stuck it on my guitar case, and it's been there forever. And over the years, I can't count the times that I've saw stickers or shirts to that nature where it will say, "Well, don't blame me, I voted for Mickey Mouse," or "Don't blame me, I voted for Fred Sanford," or Jagger Richards 2024 or whatever. And we've all probably saw those things and laughed or had a sticker or a shirt that says something like that. But when RFK Jr. sat down to decide on who he would pick for a running mate, he would have been better off to pick Mickey Mouse or Fred Sanford, because he's considering Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I actually said that out loud. It's real. Take a look at this clip.
And we know that Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the New York Jets, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, is a prominent name in that. Why?
Well, he's one of the people that we've talked to. I really like Aaron because, our appeal is to young people. We're trying to make sure that young people are participating in the political process, that they have hope for America. We want somebody. The people who have run up the $34 trillion debt, which they're dumping on that generation, are all older people. And we want somebody young who's going to look out for that generation. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is battle tested. He's stood up. He's been hammered by the press. Stood up for things we believed in. And I like that part of his character. He's a critical thinker, and I think we need that at the time, as the rise of AI. We need people who understand that you cannot always trust authority. Just because somebody's in charge, it doesn't mean that they're telling you the truth. And we want somebody who's going to critically examine. My father used to say, one of the duties of living as a citizen in a democracy is to maintain a constant posture of skepticism toward authority. And I think Aaron's shown that. He's also somebody who I think will help me get the country healthy again. He's 40 years old. He's focused on his own health. He's very aware of health issues, and that's one of the things that's one of the key parts of my agenda, is to get the country healthy.
So he likes Aaron Rodgers because he is a critical thinker. He will appeal to young voters. He's been beat up by the press. Let's just break that down for a minute, okay? I don't think he's going to appeal to many young voters with Aaron Rodgers. What he's going to appeal to is people who buys into conspiracy theories and misinformation. And the reason that he has been beat up by the press is because Aaron Rodgers has continuously shared misinformation and conspiracy theories. This is a guy who is an anti-vaxxer. This is a guy who shared conspiracy theories saying Sandy Hook was an inside job. This is a guy who tried to insinuate and accuse Jimmy Kimmel of being on the Epstein list. And that's who Robert F. Kennedy Jr. would reach out to. That's who he would pick. And it does fall right into the narrative that, oh, we've been beat up by the press. We've been treated so badly. That's one thing that all the conspiracy theorists love to latch on to. But do you know who I lay every bit of this? I lay every bit of this at the feet of Donald Trump, not RFK Jr. RFK Jr. is just here because Donald Trump paved the way for him. That's the only reason he's here. RFK Jr. should be, in a perfect world, he should be, your far out candidate over here that isn't gaining any traction nowhere, but he's got a few crackpots that will buy into what he's saying. But instead, he's gaining a more mainstream platform because Donald Trump paved the way for that mainstream platform. And that's what people need to understand, is Donald Trump is the one that paved the way for every bit of this. I've made this comparison so many times, but I go back to John McCain taking the microphone away from the lady who was saying that Barack Obama was a Muslim and she was scared of him. McCain took the mic, and McCain said, "No, ma'am, he's not a Muslim. He's no one you should be afraid of. He is a Christian. He's just someone who I'm running against because I disagree with his politics." McCain took the microphone from that woman. And Donald Trump and MAGA gave the microphone to that woman, and they cranked those amplifiers up on 11, and they gave them a voice. And now you've got Trump supporters who are upset with Trump over trying to take credit for the vaccine, and they're going to run to the likes of RFK Jr. And it really makes me sick whenever he even mentions his dad's name. It really does, because Bobby Kennedy is someone who I have admired my entire life and read and studied so much about. And I don't know, like, to see his name attached to that is so disappointing. And to be brutally honest, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know what RFK, Bobby Kennedy would be saying if he was here today, because so many of my heroes in my lifetime have let me down. There's so many people who I really looked up to and admired, and they let me down. And when they let me down and they turned into something that I couldn't no longer get behind, I walked away from it. I didn't stay at the table. There is some classic country music albums that I will still go back and listen to. I can still go back and listen to certain classic country artists and hear their albums. But I don't want to hear anything they have to say politically. I'm not going to buy any of their new hits that's bashing woke and bashing all these things, because I can't stay on board with that, and I'm not going to be guilty by association when it comes to that. RFK Jr., entertaining the idea of Aaron Rodgers, it's like that should just be a punchline. That should just be a joke. That shouldn't be anything that anyone is taken seriously, but they are. And it's because Donald Trump and the MAGA party ushered in that type of thinking, and they gave it credibility. They did nothing but demonize medicine. They did nothing but demonize science. And any time that you bring any sort of facts or evidence out against them at all, they will say that you're being unfair to them and you're trying to silence them and you're trying to take away their First Amendment rights. And it's just a continuous circus. It's just a continuous battle that we have to fight, because you have to hold people accountable for what they say. And then when you hold them accountable for what they say, they've got this scapegoat that they can say, oh, you're being mean to me. You're just trying to take away my First Amendment right. And then you have to go back and school them and educate them on all that. And it gets pretty damn tiresome. I'm not at all shocked that RFK Jr. would make a pick like that. And I can't imagine who else would be on his list. But before we all get mad at RFK Jr. and call him a bumbling idiot, I think we need to look at the guy who paved the way for him, and that guy was Donald Trump.